Here's your daily reminder that the Democrat Party and woke corporations think black people and brown people are too stupid or too helpless to have a photo ID to vote. Hello once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela Box. You're watching Angela's Soapbox, where I always say what you were thinking. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, liking or rumbling this video, commenting on this video, and of course, sharing this video, especially with your filthy leftist friends, because they truly hate my guts. And for me, that's a badge of honor. Okay, I don't know if you're aware, but there was a bright young African-American student who was stabbed to death by some neo-Nazi white kid in Frisco, Texas. Did you hear about that? Oh, wait. Actually, flip that. When I saw this case of Austin Metcalf, I immediately knew. I was like, oh, guess the race. And what a surprise, we weren't wrong. And what I would like to say is, where are the riots? Because if the tables were turned and it was a white kid stabbing to death a black kid, it would be BM all over again. BM would be so excited, they'd be chomping at the bit. They'd be like, oh yeah, we can get the band back together. We can raise some money off this. And of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a terrible case, and it's heartbreaking. Like life is so fragile, you guys, and so precious, and we just never know the day or the hour that we will be crossing over. And what is heartbreaking is that this young man, Austin Metcalf, who was a track star and a 4.0 student and just an all-around great kid. You look at his Instagram post, it's very much a young man filled with the Spirit of God. He was at a track meet, and evidently this young kid named Carmelo Anthony, who, I was like, oh, Carmelo, okay. I'm sorry. Stereotypes exist for a reason, and if you're naming your kid Carmelo with a K, I'm pretty sure I can guess the race. But anyway, I definitely knew the race when they didn't show a picture of him, and they wouldn't tell us that it was a white kid stabbing a black kid. But anyway, this Carmelo Anthony kid was told to move. I guess he was in he was in the wrong seat, or, I guess it was like some rival high school or something like that. So I don't know the total backstory of this. It sounds to me like he was coming and trying to jack with the other kids of the rival school. And they're like, dude, get out of here. And then something happened and he leaves and he goes to his backpack and he pulls out a knife because, of course, you bring a knife to a track meet. And here's my question. I guess if it's outside, it's kind of hard to, do a metal detector for that. But my question is, are they not checking the bags here in these high schools anymore? Because at this point, it seems like it would be a prerequisite. But anyway, this kid goes and gets a knife, and he comes back and stabs this kid to death. Stabs him in the heart for telling him to move. Like, I don't even have any words for how sad this is and how outrageous this is. And again, if you would flip, and let me ask you, I know that there's been a GoFundMe started for for Austin's family, and it's great, but it's not by Black Lives Matter. It's not by the usual suspects that it would be if the races were reversed. If the races were reversed, this is what you would have heard. That this is an indication at how racist Donald Trump's America is. And this is an indication about white rage and white fragility, and the idea that this white boy thought he had white supremacy, and he decided to stab this black boy just because. Like, you would never have heard the end of it. Contrast that to Austin's family, who have basically said, we forgive this young man. And Carmelo evidently was crying hysterically. He ran off and he starts crying hysterically when he gets picked up. Like, it's a sad, I mean, it's a bad situation. But Carmelo Anthony's social media was, I would say, a little bit different than Austin's. There were pictures of him, throwing a gang sign with an AR-15 or whatever, and like several really strange, unfortunate photographs. And the question is, where were his parents? Where are the parents? Okay, who is parenting these children? Because I dare say it's not the people that are parenting. Maybe Carmelo, if he had different parents, this wouldn't have happened. I don't know. I imagine that Carmelo Anthony's parents, I'm just going to go out on a limb and just say that perhaps they weren't as present as they could be. Because I guarantee you, if I was a parent, which I'm not, but if I were, I would keep an eye on my child's social media. And if my kid had a social media post that had flashing gang signs and throwing up guns, like, I would have been like, take that down and we need to have a big talk. But that didn't happen, did it? No, it did not. And the fact that the media is basically not talking about this story at all, it just shows you what a big story it is. And it shows you where we are as a country. Because again, had the roles been reversed and Carmelo Anthony had been the one stabbed by Austin, and they would have said Austin has white privilege and Austin has white supremacy, and Austin just, I guess he was watching that show Adolescence on Netflix, because, it's white boys coming from 2-parent homes. Those are the ones you really have to worry about out there, isn't it? It would have been a cacophony like you've never heard. There would have been riots. There would have been marches. There would have been protests. There would have been demands of, statues being put up of Carmelo. Like, you never would have heard the end of it. They would have raised $3 kabillion for his family by now. Now, granted, the fact that Austin's family's only had $260,000 so far raised on a GoFundMe, at least this was Friday, is again, it speaks volumes, because the media's not talking about this. And that is what's so disgusting to me, because if it were reversed, it would have been on Rachel Maddow's show, it would have been on everything. And these people need Jesus, okay? These kids need Jesus. They need Jesus, and they need parents who actually will parent them and not act like little thug ghetto people in showing their kids, yeah, this is how to act. This is, you stab someone if they tell you to move. It's unbelievable to me. And he's like, he put his hands on me. It's like, so, that's, okay, I worked in the inter-school system, okay? That phrase, he put his hands on me, is something I would hear a lot from kids. And they're hearing that from their parents, okay? If he puts his hands on you, you have the right to put your hands on him. Now, there's self-defense, and then there's craziness. But that phrase, putting hands on you, that is something that is, I'd say pretty big in the Black community, that phrase. And it's really sad that that's the excuse this kid went with, as opposed to saying, yeah, I really, really screwed up, and I throw myself on the mercy of God and his family. Like, I did all the wrong things. And thanks, Mom and Dad, for sucking so much. It's going to be interesting to see his family. And the longer we don't see his family, the more you can pretty much assume they are probably who you expect. So my heart goes out to Austin Metcalf's family, his twin brother Hunter, and for all those kids who witnessed this terrible tragedy. And I hope that there is justice for Austin. I hope that, we don't hear a sob story about how rough Carmelo Anthony had it. I don't want to hear it. You've got some crappy ass parents that would allow this to happen, that would allow their son to think that this was a normal course of action to take. Like, we need to have a serious come to Jesus in this world to make sure parents start parenting their kids again. All right, that's where I'm gonna leave this video. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you in the next one. I will be done. Bye.